Morning everyone. In this video series we're going to look at each of the questions for AQA's GCSE English Language Paper 1. We'll look at a paper that focuses on Arthur Conan Doyle's A Study in Scarlet, which is the first book in the Sherlock Holmes series. There's a link below to the slides, as well as a copy of the exam paper. This video is going to focus on question 2. Right, for this video you're going to need to be able to write. This could be with pen and paper on your copy of the slides, or with a word processor such as Microsoft Word or Google Docs. And in the blue box I've put a link to the exam board's mark scheme. For question 2 it's pages 6, 7 and 8. Now just to start us off, I'm going to put it on a screen in a second. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to read the extract. And give yourself the full 5 minutes to read through it, and read through it thoroughly. Get an idea of what's happening in the text by asking yourself basic understanding questions, such as the ones on the screen. Here's the extract, 5 minutes, pause the video and read. Now have a go at answering some of these questions. What do we know about the narrator? What do we know about the setting? What do we know about the plot? What do we know about the tone? Summarise what happens in that extract in 3 sentences, and then why do you think that the writer has made those choices? Just to give yourself a general understanding of the extract, of the text and what's going on, have a go at answering those questions. Now question 2 on paper 1 is incredibly similar to question 3 on paper 2. It asks you to look at the language used by the writer. Essentially, how has the writer used language for a specific purpose? In this question 2, it says, read again the second paragraph. How does the writer use language to present Sherlock Holmes, the student? You could include the writer's choice of words and phrases, language features and techniques, or sentence forms. So Arthur Conan Doyle is sat there and he comes up with this character. This is the first time he's going to introduce this character to the world. So he wants us, the audience, to think about that character in a certain way. If he wants to make us like Sherlock, he'll use a certain set of words and language features. If he wants to make us feel sorry for Sherlock, he'll pick a different set of words and techniques. If he wants to make Sherlock to be the villain of the book, he can do that. All he has to do is pick different words. Now this question 2 is asking us to look at the words, phrases and language techniques in the second paragraph and work out how Arthur Conan Doyle wants us to think and feel about Sherlock. Is he wanting us to like him or not? Does he want us to think that Sherlock is a genius, or an idiot, or a hero, or a villain, or something in between? So for question 2 you need to write around 2 paragraphs. So aim to pick out around 4 decent quotes from this section and annotate them. What does Arthur Conan Doyle want us to think about Sherlock? And what is it about the language that makes you think that? So pause the video, give yourself about 3 minutes and give that a go. Find 4 decent quotations that show us how Sherlock Holmes is presented. Pause the video and off you go. Now one method that I find works quite well, and one that definitely opens up the higher end of the mark scheme, is to put a quotation down and to explore the different connotations and interpretations of it. And what I mean by this is that you should try to look at one single quotation from a variety of different angles. And if they relate to the question, add them into your answer. For example, take the phrase one student from the 3rd sentence. You could look at the word one and ask yourself, why is there only one of him? Students are usually in classes with teachers. Well, maybe he's really dedicated and he's staying behind in the lab after hours. Or maybe this word could tell us he's a bit of a lone wolf and likes to do things by himself, which could suggest maybe he's a bit unsociable and isn't very good around other people. Is there any other evidence for this in the extract? I would argue yeah. Then look at the word student. Why is he a student? What of? Does this mean he's still in high school? Probably not. So what does it mean then? Maybe that he wants to learn and educate himself even though he's older, a sign of intelligence perhaps. One of the definitions of the word student is someone who investigates. So maybe that's his line of work, an investigator of some sort. This could be a clue from Arthur Conan Doyle about Sherlock's career. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's called a student because he's not yet the master or the teacher, so he still has a long way to go. Either way, because I've exploded the quotation in this way, it's got a bunch of different interpretations out of a 2-word quotation, and that's more than enough to get a paragraph out of. Now pause the video and have a go at exploding a quotation, just like I did. Don't spend too long on it, only a minute or so. Just get your first thoughts down. Now pause the video and give it a go. Okay, the bit you've all been waiting for. Time to write up your ideas. I've put some sentence starters on the slide that might be useful for those of you who find this question a bit difficult. You don't have to use all of them. They're just ideas and pointers in the right direction. A challenge for you is to try and write an answer without them, because let's face it, they're not going to be there in the exam. Now the sentence starters are focused around the FEAR structure. Focus, evidence, analyze, reader. F-E-A-R, fear. So you focus your answer on the question. Make sure you're actually answering it and doing what the question asks. You'll notice that the success criteria box on the right says that you need to identify the techniques used by the writer. This can go in the focus section of the answer. Remember, a writer's technique could be anything from the way they use a metaphor to the way they use an exclamation mark. Next, evidence. These are your quotations. Again, this is one of the 3 things on the mark scheme. Analyze should be your most detailed section. You have to explain how that particular quotation or technique is used to present Sherlock. This is the bit where you aim to put in your multiple interpretations like you tried on the last slide in order to hit the 3rd bullet point on the success criteria. And following on from this, the reader section. We discuss what effect this had on the audience. What was Conan Doyle hoping to achieve by using the quote or technique that you picked out? And that's it. Even if you're ignoring the sentence starters, your answer should still be made up of these elements, as these are the core things that are on the mark scheme. These are the things that will get you those marks. And one thing to avoid that I see a lot of students do is to write a definition of a technique. Avoid doing that. Just explain how it's been used. Okay, so how does the writer use language to present Sherlock Holmes, the student? Set yourself a timer for 8 minutes on your phone or something, and get your 2 paragraphs completed. Pause the video, and off you go. And here's my answer. What I want you to do is to take a copy of the mark scheme and read through my answer. Use the mark scheme to give my paragraph a mark out of 8. Keep in mind that this is only 1 paragraph, not the whole answer. But what mark would you give it? What does it do well? What does it do that you could steal for your next response? But also, what could be improved about it? Remember, even if you think it's full marks, 4 mark answers can still be improved. I want specifics. Where could it be improved? And what would you do to improve it? So pause the video and assess my response. And now that you've read through and assessed my answer, go back through and do the same to your own answer. Give it a mark. Write down what went well. Write down an even better riff. Then use this information to improve your response in a different coloured pen, so that your teacher, if you're handing this into your teacher can see which bits you did under time conditions and which bits were the improvements. And that's it for today's video. I hope you found it useful. If you did, give it a like. And if there are any other topics that you want me to cover, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and happy revising.